What if I told you that today, years ago, a woman transformed a kingdom? Join us to discover how Queen Anne became a pivotal monarch in British history. Queen Anne was born on February 6, 1665, at St. James's Palace in London as the second daughter of James, Duke of York, who later became King James II. She was raised in the midst of intense political and religious turmoil due to her father's Catholic faith, which was unpopular in Protestant England. Anne and her older sister Mary were carefully educated to be devoted Anglicans under the guidance of their uncle King Charles II, who worried about the influence of Catholicism on his family and the nation. Anne's early life was marked by hardship, as only she and Mary survived out of their parents' 8 children. Her mother, Anne Hyde, passed away when Anne was just 5 years old, leaving a significant emotional void in her early development. Strengthening their bond, Anne and Mary grew closer despite the uncertainties surrounding the monarchy, especially with their father's conversion to Catholicism, which put them at odds with public sentiment. In 1677, Anne's sister Mary married William III of Orange, a significant event that would shape Anne's future. Unfortunately, Anne could not attend the wedding due to an illness, which marked the beginning of her estrangement from her sister. Over the next few years, Anne formed a friendship with Sarah Jennings, who later became the Duchess of Marlborough. Their relationship would prove to be pivotal during Anne's later political challenges. In the late 1680s, the political landscape of England changed dramatically when Mary's father, King James II, was deposed during the Glorious Revolution of 1688. This upheaval solidified Mary and William's power as they claimed the throne. The sisters, once close, found themselves on opposite sides of the conflict, with Anne feeling increasingly alienated from her family, especially as James's Catholicism became a major point of contention in England. Anne's life continued to evolve under the shadow of her sister's reign alongside her husband. The estrangement between the sisters deepened due to political disagreements, and Anne became increasingly reliant on her own circumstances, especially as she navigated the powers and responsibilities expected of her as a royal family member. Her personal life was fraught with challenges, including multiple pregnancies that sadly resulted in only 5 live births, with none surviving to adulthood, leading to heartache and grief. The significant turning point in Queen Anne's life happened in 1701, when her father, James II, passed away. He had been a controversial figure, and his death marked a dramatic shift in the royal lineage, leading to the enactment of the Act of Settlement, which determined the line of succession and expressly excluded Catholics from holding the throne. With William III's death in March 1702, Anne ascended to the throne on March 8, 1702, becoming the Queen of England, Scotland, and Ireland. The transition from being a princess to the ruling monarch presented her with numerous challenges, including managing political tensions and uniting a divided country. Initial public reception to Anne's reign was overwhelmingly positive, as many hoped her leadership would bring stability. Despite her popularity, Anne faced challenges with political factions, specifically between the Tories and Whigs. As an Anglican, she naturally leaned toward the Tory party, fostering alliances with moderate Tories who shared her religious views. Political pressures intensified with the War of the Spanish Succession looming in 1702, which required significant military and financial support from England. Anne's determination to support her allies put immense strain on her administration, leading to increased dissent within Parliament. The war further shaped political loyalties, complicating her relationships with dissenting factions. As Queen, Anne's close friendship with Sarah Churchill, the Duchess of Marlborough, played a significant role in her reign. However, political strife began to sour their relationship due to differing political views, placing more intensity on Anne's already shaky grip on power. The emotionally charged dynamics between allies and rivals would shape the next few years of her reign. Queen Anne's reign was filled with notable achievements and challenges, and her first significant political act was the appointment of key ministers, including the Duke of Marlborough as Captain General of the Army. This move solidified her ties with the Tory party and showcased her commitment to supporting the military effort in the War of the Spanish Succession, which on the surface seemed to promise greater stability for her reign. However, tensions began to rise within her government as differences of opinion emerged, particularly with her former favorite, Lady Marlborough, regarding war policies and political alliances. Fearing that the growing influence of the Whigs who opposed the war would undermine her power, Anne realized the delicate balance she must maintain among her advisors. The situation was further complicated when Anne found herself caught in the middle of the factional rivalry between the Tories and the Whigs, both of whom desired to guide her decisions. While Anne had a natural inclination toward the Tories, she also felt considerable pressure to appease the Whigs, who were gaining prominence due to the successes of their military strategies. As the War of the Spanish Succession continued, Anne reluctantly found herself relying heavily on her ministers to navigate the complexities of foreign policy and military commitments. This dependence intensified the tension between her and Lady Marlborough, who believed she deserved more influence over military actions due to her relationship with Anne and experience with the Duke. Ultimately, Anne's political landscape was further altered by her friendships and alliances. Her bond with Sarah Churchill transformed into a significant power struggle, marking the beginning of their growing estrangement. Anne's need to secure her throne and legitimize her decisions clipped the wings of their once close relationship and laid the groundwork for future conflicts. As Anne's reign progressed, she faced increasing political challenges, particularly from the Whigs, who opposed her alliances and military engagements. In 1710, she made a decisive move by dismissing many Whig ministers, signaling a shift in power toward the Tories and showcasing Anne's determination to reshape her administration according to her views. This decision marked a turning point, as it illustrated her desire to assert more control over her government, rather than merely play the role of a figurehead. Following the dismissal of the Whigs, Anne quickly appointed a new Tory ministry, demonstrating her intention to pursue policies that aligned with her Anglican beliefs. This shift created a wave of support among Tory loyalists as they rallied behind her decisions, which they believed would bring stability to both the government and the ongoing war efforts. Her proactive efforts garnered popularity, yet they also increased animosity from the Whigs, who saw their influence wane and were left feeling marginalized. As public sentiment shifted with the political climate, Anne grew increasingly aware of her vulnerable position as the last monarch of the Stuart line. The future of her reign became uncertain with internal conflicts, ongoing wars, and pressing hysteria concerning a potential Catholic restoration. The religious tension surrounding her family history emphasized the delicate balance Anne was tasked to maintain while uniting her people amid different factions and loyalties within Parliament. The political landscape was further complicated when Anne's close relationship with Sarah Churchill severely deteriorated as the war progressed. Anne felt that Sarah exerted too much pressure for her voice to be heard in military matters, causing rifts between their friendship and professional alliance. The falling out resulted in a power struggle, where Anne began to distance herself from Sarah, who had previously been one of her most trusted advisors and friends. As tensions peaked, Anne's resolve to govern effectively was put to the test. The War of the Spanish Succession weighed heavily on her, leading to increasing calls for peace, especially among war-weary subjects. Anne publicly supported efforts towards securing peace negotiations while secretly weighing her options, demonstrating the complex interplay between her political aspirations and the changing landscape of power among her advisors and Parliament.